taking a little assessment of how the plants fared in the backyard. These had been covered, but as you can see, this one is a little burned there at the top. The bottom is looking good. The begonia, the spider plant, the ferns did good. And for the most part, all of these ferns did good. The ginger took the hardest hit because we forgot to cover them. But the ones underneath, like right there, because they were protected by the ones above it, the gardenia didn't phase it in the least. The poor papaya, it took a hit. I'd forgotten all about my variegated vine and staghorn fern. Let's take a look. Oh, thank goodness. Oh, I'm so relieved. I was so worried. I thought for sure they were going to be goners. Okay, the vine hanging off of it here is a little bit not doing good, but this one is great. And it has just a little bit, I guess, I don't know if it's just because of the way I've got it positioned. Okay, so then the bromeliads, didn't bother them in the least. So they're tough. The crepe myrtle, don't see a single leaf on it. And now let's walk around to the other side of the yard, and we're going to see the avocado, which I forgot about him. Okay, so this is in the gazebo with the canvas top. Okay, so we didn't cover any of these. Okay, that one leaf, but he may have already been going. But the rest of the plant looks good, and it still has a flower shoot. The cactus, they're doing good. The succulents are fine. Okay, this other orchid is looking okay. The bamboo, and as you can see, they have the canvas right up at the top. And this one actually has a double plant growing on it. I've had that one for a couple of years now. The geranium, fine. It's doing good. It looks the same as it always does. This other orchid is looking good, and look at all the flower stalks coming off of it. So the cold weather, didn't bother it. This cactus, looking good. This cactus here, looking good. Now this one, I had cut it and pruned him back because the leaves were just looking terrible, and he had this one flower. But if I cut the flower off, all the leaves will come back. But at this moment, I just love seeing the flower in the winter time, so I'm leaving it. This one, we're going to have flowers on this orchid, and this cactus is doing fine. This succulent tray here, let's take a closer look. I can't quite tell. It looks like he's a little bit burned. Can't quite tell. I think so. This one here looks fine, so I don't know if that one was just naturally turning dark, but it seems like it's all the, I can't tell if it's all the same plant. I don't think it looks like two different plants. This one here, I've got to do more research on my succulents because it was doing really good, and then it just started dropping all the little leaves, so I don't want it to do that, and I want to see if I can transplant him and save him. And then these two orchids doing great, so they're probably going to grow flower spikes too. Now let's move over to the other flower bed, and we'll take a look on the other side. Okay, this was the zucchini and yellow squash, and as you can see, it really stunted them. They were all had flowers on them, hadn't opened yet. We did cover it. We brought him under the other gazebo, so I don't know if it will come back or if I'll just have to rip all this out and start fresh. Probably I'll put some start seeds inside, and then we'll put it in the ground after the last frost, which will probably be the end of March, going at the way rate we're going. Now this whole flower bed we covered, and as you can see, it didn't harm anything in here on this side. Now on the other side, I'll show you in a minute, that did. All of my black-eyed peas, just really, we covered it up, but it was just too much for it. So I'll have to rip all that out, and we'll start new. Okay, so over here, the pineapple, didn't bother the pineapple. Nothing, it looks good. Now this one here is the same as the one over there that I had showed you in the pot. So it's a newer transplant. So all the leaves, the stem is fine, so I'll just pull all the leaves off. And then some of these flowers, as you can see, the zinnias, I think those took a hit. And then all these other zinnias, and again, they were covered. This purple flower thing, it looks pretty good. He didn't get bothered. The blackberry, it did fine. Okay, now let's check the bottle brush. The bottle brush looks okay. He's a little bit, the flowers are all kind of wilty, and we did cover the whole thing. And now here's the avocado, the poor avocado. He just has like a few leaves that, probably scorched from the frozen, from the heat of cold. You can see the tops are white, and then underneath is okay. So I'm just going to leave him like he is, and then we'll see if anything needs to be pruned off later. Palms, didn't cover any of the palms. The palms are perfectly fine. So this is a good indication. So if you're in zone 9 and 10, so I'm in Florida, then this gives you an idea of what you can grow and what will endure 20-degree and 30-degree temperatures at night. So that's what we've had the last 2 nights, and then now it's going to be back into the 50s and 60s at night. So just keep that in mind. Now this other corner I wanted to show you, this Boston fern, we didn't cover it. The rose, and it has a little bit of the overhang of the house as a protection. And you can look at this. None of these look burned. Those all look fine. And what else? Oh yeah, what is this? Bougainvillea. It looks perfectly fine. The jasmine looks a little bit burned because it goes way, way, way up the tree. And then my camellia, it's tucked back here in a corner under this whole canopy, so it's fine. None of it was burned. Look at all the beautiful white flowers on it still. Didn't even drop a flower. And then the rice cactus right over there, and it's looking good too because it's protected by all of this canopy. And more Boston ferns in here, another palm. So everything in this area. So I'm thinking what I'm going to start doing, we used to mow through here, so there was like a little path, and the Boston fern are just filling this all in. So I'm thinking I'm going to move pots here, but Boston fern can take shade. So this is why they grow here. They just grow here prolifically on their own. I don't do anything with it. But I'm thinking that, like, I don't know, somewhere around here I'm going to continue with like these pots here. Maybe just keep pots around this edge. And I'm glad I just localized the planting, so then it's easier to cover stuff. So if you have things too dispersed, it makes it harder to cover. And let's take a look at the front yard. Okay, I usually don't venture into the front yard very often, but I'm going to show you today. So let's go out to the porch. Out of the porch. Okay, so this is the roses. Let me come back in. Okay, so the roses and more ferns here, and again, they spread here on their own. I did not put them here. Don't ask me how they do it. I don't know how they do it. And this is the umbrella plant. I've had that one, oh my goodness, probably for 25 years. And I had him in this pot with a bunch of succulents, and then it's really gotten a bigger trunk at the bottom, and it's busted the pot on the other side. But I can't get over there to that side to show you. But I wanted to show you, okay, let's go up here again. Can you see the rose? Let me zoom in. Which way? This way, okay. So there's the rose. Okay, there's the rose. Of course somebody wants to start their chainsaw right when I come up here. And that's a white rose, and it's usually just full of beautiful blooms. And as you can see, the rose, it didn't harm it at all. There are spots all over it, so I will probably have my husband spray it with some kind of a fertilizer enzyme thing that we have to see if that'll get rid of that. be, what is this thing? Oh, split leaf, I think is what I call it. Zoom back down. He didn't bother him, and he's under the trellis, so I don't know if that helped. Never covered him up anymore. It's a nice big guy. The aloes did good. And then over here we have this periwinkle. The periwinkle did fine. We did cover all of this. The grasses, they did fine. I had a spider plant in there, but I think my neighbor took it, which is fine. He's given me plants so he could have it. And then the Indian hawthorn, it's fine. The aloe, again, we did cover this. We covered this up here with towels, not sheets. And this rose bush is fine. My amarilla, this one it used to be so full, it's really taken beating last few years, but I'm glad to see he didn't die. And a thrill beyond words. My hibiscus made it, and the crown of thorns, and then over here the hydrangea. And this poor hydrangea, I don't get out here in the front, so I don't get to water them and care for them like I want to, but I'm going to have to start doing that. So we're going to put mulch, 2 inches of mulch in all of these pots and around all these, because that was a tip that I had read that would help them get through the winter. And these over here, we didn't even remember, my daughter brought me these recently. Isn't this gorgeous? So I was going to move these to the backyard, but they're looking really, really good. But I am going to eventually move them back there. I've got some of this back there already, but I'm going to leave them in their pots that I'm going to establish. Look at the aloes, already has a flower growing on him. So everything actually did pretty good up here. So I'm extremely happy. And then the Wandering Jew is all down in there. You can see it. And I have another variegated vine right here. Sister gave me that years ago. And so it survived because it's protected from all this. So that's what it looks like from Florida. Hope your plants made it through the winter cold.